On March 8, 2014, a commercial airliner carrying 239 people simply stopped existing, and nobody's ever explained why. 3:41 in the morning, Malaysian airspace. A Boeing 777 registered as MH370 is climbing toward cruising altitude, bound for Beijing from Kuala Lumpur. The aircraft is new. The pilots are experienced. Every system reads nominal. Then nothing. The transponder cuts. The radar signature disappears, and in the darkness above the South China Sea, a commercial jet with 227 passengers and 12 crew members ceases to exist in any meaningful way. The search that follows will become the most expensive aviation mystery in history, and it will yield almost nothing. Let's rewind to what we actually know. Flight MH370 departed Kuala Lumpur International Airport at 12:41 a.m. on March 8, 2014. Weather was clear. The aircraft was a Boeing 777-200ER, a workhorse of modern aviation, logged nearly 44,000 flight hours. Two pilots occupied the flight deck. Captain Zahiri Ahmed Shah, 53 years old, with over 18,000 hours of experience. First Officer Faraq Abdul Hamid, 27, with 2,763 hours. Both men had clean records. No incidents, no complaints, no red flags in any file. The flight was routine. For 41 minutes, MH370 climbed normally through Malaysian airspace. At 1:19 a.m., the aircraft was handed off to Ho Chi Minh City Air Traffic Control. The handoff message was routine. Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. The response came back. Good night, Malaysian 370. Those were the last words ever heard from the aircraft. Seconds later, the radar blip vanished. The transponder, the system that broadcasts the plane's location and altitude to ground stations, went silent. Both systems offline, simultaneously. For the next hour, the aircraft wasn't lost. It was simply untracked. Military radar, a different system entirely, continued to detect the aircraft as it traveled westward, away from its intended flight path. Away from Beijing, away from all civilian airways. The record shows the blip tracked across Malaysian airspace, over the Strait of Malacca, and then into the Indian Ocean. Then that radar signal, too, dissolved. The aircraft had flown for approximately 7 hours total. Then nothing, no wreckage, no distress call, no debris field, no bodies, nothing. Search and rescue operations began immediately. Malaysian authorities, then international teams, then the world's navies. The search zone expanded, first hundreds of miles, then thousands. The Indian Ocean is not kind to investigation. Currents there run deep and complex. If the aircraft went down in those waters, finding it would require resources on a scale never before assembled. Within days, the operation involved the United States 7th Fleet, the Australian Navy, the Chinese Navy, the British military. Satellite imagery was scanned. Ocean floor maps were redrawn. Submarines were deployed. 2 years of searching. Nearly $200 million spent. In March 2016, the official investigation released its preliminary findings. The aircraft's communication systems had been deliberately disabled. Someone in the cockpit, the record suggests someone with intimate knowledge of the aircraft systems, had manually switched off the transponder. Then, minutes later, the ICAO's system, which transmitted aircraft telemetry to the airline. These weren't system failures. They were manual actions. The sequence suggests intention. The investigation considered multiple theories. Mechanical failure, unlikely given the deliberate sequence of system disablement. Pilot incapacity, possible but wouldn't explain the deliberate actions. Hijacking, the record shows no known threats to either pilot. Terrorism, no credible claims were ever made. The investigators examined the pilot's backgrounds, flight simulator data, personal communications, financial records. One pilot had a home flight simulator. The other's personal life appeared stable. The record only says, no conclusive evidence of sabotage, hijacking, or deliberate action by either pilot was ever established. But the facts remain. Someone turned off those systems. Someone made decisions in that cockpit. Whether that was deliberate act, catastrophic malfunction, or some combination, the record cannot say. The aircraft continued flying for hours after those communications ceased. Military radar tracked it. So someone or something was flying that plane, flying it deliberately away from civilization, flying it into the ocean. In 2015, a flaperon, a control surface from the wing, washed ashore on Mozambique's coast. Then another piece. Then more debris scattered across the Indian Ocean's eastern shores. The pieces confirmed the aircraft had indeed gone down in those waters, but the wreckage field was vast and most of the aircraft was never recovered. The final resting place remains unknown. The main fuselage, the flight data recorder, the cockpit voice recorder, All of it lies somewhere on the ocean floor, in waters so deep and currents so complex that conventional search methods proved inadequate. In 2018, the Malaysian government released a 495-page final report. It concluded that the aircraft's disappearance could not be explained by mechanical failure, weather, or pilot error alone. The record states, the team is unable to determine the real cause for the disappearance of the aircraft. The official investigation was closed. No criminal charges were filed. No perpetrator was identified. No motive was established. 239 people boarded that aircraft. None of them ever landed. This is where the file sits, not closed, suspended. The disappearance of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 remains aviation's greatest unsolved mystery. No other commercial aircraft of that size has ever vanished without explanation. No other disappearance has generated so much investigation and yielded so few answers. The record contains facts, it contains evidence, it contains data, but it does not contain truth.